Am I a failure? That was a question which was asked this week, guys. And I wanted to give my answer to it. I wanted to give my advice. I saw the question on Student Forum. Most of you guys know I've lived life quite a fair bit. I've been able to interview and speak to quite a fair bit amount of people. So I can probably give some decent advice that you may find useful. Welcome back again, guys. Hi, my name is Kasim, and welcome back again to my channel. Before I get into answering this question, if you want to help subscribe, if you want to help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June, please like and subscribe to my channel. You would be an absolute legend. Okay, so let me read you what this person said, and then I'll tell you some things that I wrote down, which you might find useful if you're in the same situation. So it's entitled, Am I a Failure? And it goes like this. I recently started my design internship and everything was going well and my work colleagues are really friendly. Well, firstly, congratulations that you've got a new job. I think it's always important to appreciate when you've worked hard and you've managed to achieve success. So he says, I really like the company and the work that I'm doing. I've been there a couple of weeks now and I'm always overthinking. I feel depressed, anxious, and trapped. So let's stop there before I continue and let's talk a little bit about that because I think, firstly, it's absolutely normal that you're feeling like that, right? Anxiety, depression, overthinking are all emotions and states that every single person experiences. And I actually think it's a really good thing that you're experiencing this because when you are in these kind of states, everything is heightened, everything is amplified. And for you, the reason why you're finding that you're living in this state or you're experiencing these states on a more frequent basis than other people is because this means a lot to you. And I think a lot of people in life, we forget that the consequence of living is actually failure, is actually making choices, is consequences, right? When you're living a decent life, when you're experiencing life, things are not supposed to go all positive and rosy and everything. So you're actually outside of your comfort zone. So it's a good thing that you're experiencing this. Obviously, where it gets bad is where you're experiencing these emotions on an extreme level, right? On a consistent basis, and all of them are amplified and they're getting to the point where they're getting in your way. So, for example, when we look at, in psychology, when we look at somebody who is being clinically being diagnosed for clinical depression, one of the things that we look for, there are like 9 things that we look for, and one of the things that we look for is it is the depression happening every single day, consistently, daily, for long periods of time, and is it intervening in the person's life? Is it stopping them from achieving what they want to achieve? And from the sounds of things, and I'm making an assumption here because I obviously don't know you personally, I'm going to presume this isn't stopping you from getting along with stuff and being productive, but it is becoming a bit of a nuisance. So there's just something there to know. Okay, so he continues. I made silly mistakes. I printed off some work for the company and the work became pixelated. Nobody really noticed apart from me and other artists on my team. My manager told me not to worry about it and that the work would need to be reprinted. That's a good manager. That's a good person. Okay. I also put some work in the wrong folder for the other artists to work on and was politely and kindly told off by my manager. This sounds like a really good manager. Patient. That's very rare. I don't want to lose this internship. I worked so hard to get it and to progress in my career. I like that. People with ambition. I like people with ambition. I don't have any knowledge with print, but I bought myself a cheap printer so I can practice a bit in my spare time. I could I lose the internship if I keep making silly mistakes? Am I a failure? So let's talk a little bit about this. I wrote down some things. Firstly, I love the fact that you are somebody who's aware of your choices. You're aware of more importantly, the consequences of your choices. I think that's something which is to be celebrated and something which you should really be impressed with yourself, because there's a lot of people who go through life and they blame other people for the results of their life because they don't understand what part or what role they played in the result of their life, right? You know, I used to work with a manager, a guy called George Steedman, and George used to say to me all the time, Kasim, remember, every time you point the finger, there's four other fingers pointing back at you. And what that basically means is that a lot of people don't understand that for every person that they blame, or for everything that they blame, there's always a role in which other people could say that they played in being blamed for that, right? And we then could get into like solipsism and all kinds of other things, and with the a dark triad. And so those are things that you would have to work on. So for me, I absolutely love that you're self-aware. You're noticing your choices, but not even and here's not even your choices later on, but you're noticing your choices today. But even bigger than that, I love the fact that you're reflecting on them. You're writing this, which means that you've thought about your choices, you've thought about the consequences of them, and you thought, well, what way could I make it better? This is how it's going to affect me. And I absolutely love that, because that's a sign of somebody who's going to do very, very, very well in their life. The second thing that I wrote down here that I wanted to share with you is you're getting nervous because you're coming out of your comfort zone. You're getting nervous. You are feeling this sense of anxiety and these feelings of anxiety only because this matters to you. Only because you have just realized that there are, well, I guess, I don't know if you've realized it or not, but it's something that I share with people, and it took me a very long time to realize, which is that the whole point of life is once you reach kind of age 18, I say 18, for some people it's age 22, but essentially the moment that you leave formal education, the management of your life is up to you. Okay, so there are certain areas of life where they're kind of bubbles, meaning that your life is kind of controlled for you, is set for you. They're bubbles. They're artificial. One of those is university. The army is another one. A hospital is another one. University is another one of these. School is another one of these. But essentially, these arenas of life are artificial. They're not really the reality of life, because they've been created in such a way that basically you can benefit from them. It's a bit like going on holiday to a holiday resort. If you go on holiday and you go to a holiday resort, it's artificial. It isn't really how that country actually functions, because everything is built to be perfect and to be orderly and to be wonderful and to be efficient, right? It's supposed to sell the best of that country to you. But then if you went and you ventured further than your hotel or your resort, you would see, man, the beaches are not as the ones that we have. They're not all clean. Man, the streets are not all clean. The streets are not all paved, right? They don't understand, they don't take certain currency. Not everybody, when I start venturing out more into the suburbs, not everybody speaks English. And so my point to you is that one of the great things for you, which you want to realize, is you're about to learn something. Every time you feel anxious, or you feel like you're out of your comfort zone, or you're getting things wrong, is because you're in a space or in an arena which you haven't yet mastered. So let me say this to you, which is really important. I've come to believe in life that there are what I call the 5 spheres of life. Pretty much every area of life that I have looked at has these areas, and I'm going to tell them to you in just a second. And your job is to figure out these areas, okay? And the quicker that you figure out these areas, the more successful, and you apply them in your life, the quicker you become successful. The 5 areas are these: laws and principles, roles, basics and fundamentals, seasons and cycles, rules, procedures, systems, processes, and structures. Okay? So as you go through life, as I said, the goal of your life is to manage your life, is to figure out, okay, whereabouts am I? Do I need to speed things up? Do I need to slow down? Because, like, for example, when you were in school or you're in university, you're going to get emails about submitting your tests and your exams. You're going to be told where to go. All of this stuff is all of the burden and the responsibility falls to you the moment that you leave university or you leave formal education. So the pressure on you doing well in your life is up to you. If you decide that you want to have kids, nobody, well, to a certain degree, society is going to pressure you, but the pressure as to when you have kids, who you have them with, how many of them you have, is the responsibility lies with you. And so I love the fact that you're asking these questions, and I wanted to articulate that to you and note that. The other thing that I wanted to say to you is admit when you are wrong to a manager and ask them to show you. Most people, when they do something wrong, what they do is they go to a peer and they ask their peer to tell them how to fix a problem. But part of life, and you're going to learn this as you progress, and if you're really an ambitious person, you're going to have to learn this. A lot of people know how to manage across and down, but a lot of people don't know how to manage up. So instead of, when you know that, for example, in this situation where you say you don't know about how to sort of master making these prints, what I would suggest to you is go up to your manager and say, "Hi, Ben, I know what happened last week and I messed up with it. Can I?" Obviously, you say to them, "Is it all right if I just talk to you 1 minute? I just want to ask for some help on something." From the sounds of things, your manager sounds like a wonderful person, and they will definitely listen to you, and they won't say to you, "No, I'm busy, don't talk to me right now." They genuinely will listen to you. Go up to them and say, "Last week, I recognize what the mistake that you made." So say, "Last week, this is a mistake that I made, and I messed this up, and I think this is where I went wrong. Can I ask you, is it possible the next time we're doing prints, or you're doing prints or I'm doing prints, is it possible for me to shadow you and watch how you do it? Or is it possible for you to shadow me and kind of correct me?" That is what's called managing up. That's where you get noticed. That's where you start progressing and being given opportunities and more, and you get given more responsibility. A lot of people, when they're in a workplace, their strategy is to basically blend in, is to try and not get noticed. And at first, you do. Like, for example, for me, I've had now 23 jobs in my life, and I'm 30 years of age. And in all of my jobs, for the first 6 weeks, I shut up and do literally everything that they tell me. I literally become a copycat. And then after we've done that, then I start molding it and doing it my way and telling it to my way. Because you do have to blend in. When you become like a rogue monkey and you've just joined a company, you are seen as a risk. And so I say to people that before you can pioneer, you must first master. So go to your manager and ask for help. I'm telling you, the amount of respect that you're going to get is beyond what you can possibly imagine. No. The answer to your question is no, you're not a failure. And let me tell you why. So I wrote down that anybody who is kind of born after 2000, on average, you're going to have anywhere between 8 and 12 different jobs in your life. This is obviously way more than most people have in their life. I mean, historically, most people had one job and they stuck to it, right? And they would be there for like 40, 50 years and then retire and get a really good pension. Today, we live in the era which the late Peter Drucker called the era of the 3 C's, which is accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. Basically, the world is changing so fast that most companies, especially the bigger they are, they just can't keep up. They just cannot keep up with the way how fast the world is moving and how quickly things are changing. Like 1 minute you have Twitter, then you have Facebook, then you have Instagram, then you have cryptocurrency, then you have Snapchat. Like, there's so much that is happening all the time, and most companies just can't keep up with the change, which means a lot of companies today are going to fail within a very short period of time. So it isn't that you're going to work really hard and the company maybe won't give you an opportunity. It's that the company might just go bust and they get bought out, or they close a division of the organization, and you might have been working there 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. Anything could happen today. So it's really important for you to understand that there is no really such thing as failure anymore. And linked to that, one of the things that I'd recommend to you that you do is start equipping yourself. Start making yourself more valuable. See, most people, when they want to progress in life, what they do is they try to apply for a position and try to wing it. right? A lot of people, when they're a company and they're not being paid the money that they want, what they will do is they'll go on Indeed, or they will go on whatever, another website, a job website, and they try to apply for jobs which they know they're not really qualified for, and they might get it. But for you, and now I'm only telling you this if I was, because this is deep now. If I was coaching you on a one-to-one and we were really getting into this, what I would say to you is that you want to begin to make yourself indispensable. Meaning that you want to find, so for example, if you know that you know a lot about prints, and you want, basically what I say to people is between the ages of 20 and 30, you need to master an area. And the way you master an area is you have to choose one area and basically know more about it than anybody else. And so how you're going to do that is you want to obviously go to your normal job and give it as much as you can. But when you go home, spend 2 or 3 hours on basically learning, doing like a project outside. So let me give you an example. I have a full-time job that I do, and then I come and do this, right? So I'm creating this, which means that I have another income. And part of me doing this is that I'm studying to become a licensed counselor. Do you see what I'm saying? So even if something were to happen to my job that I'm working, I have another side hustle that I can get on. On top of this, I'm writing books as well. Do you see what I'm saying? And then I have YouTube, which at some point, hopefully, will pay me some money. So I'm in a position where I can't easily be really ruffled by life. Where you are at the moment is that you are not valuable enough in the working arena, in the marketing, in the sort of economic arena. And that's why you're all the time anxious. You want to get to a position where if they fire you, who gives a shit? That's where you want to be sitting. And if you're in a space where you're worried all the time, where you're like, oh man, I might get fired, that's not the place where you want to be. And here's how the easiest way to begin off with. So start, for the next 3 years, read 1 book a week in any area. And the easiest one that I would say to you is printing. Go and read as many 1 book every single week in printing as you can. And then as you progress and you learn more on whatever, it's going to take you into different areas and become so knowledgeable in that area that you become indispensable. And that is later on is how people are going to recognize you, because later on companies and headhunters, they're going to be looking for people who are exceptional. So one of the other ways that you begin to diversify your value is when you become exceptional, if your company won't give you the money, there'll be people hunting you down to try to get you to their company. Trust me. But that you can only happens when you're exceptional or you're so knowledgeable in an area that nobody can replace you. So here's some books that I would recommend to you. You start with, and this is how use the internet, use YouTube, use Amazon, because they're all at your disposal. I found a book called Adventures in Letterpress. Go and have a look at that on Amazon. Low Tech Print. That's another one. And the last one that I wrote down here is Print Workshop. Buy those books. From the research that I did, those are the books that will set a really good foundation for you understanding this, right? And here's where it gets even better for you. Imagine if you read those books and then you go to your manager and you say, I've read these books and I've seen something that I think would be really good for me to do or to apply or for us to apply. What do you think? That's where now you're now going to a whole different level. You're going to be seen. This is how opportunities start arriving and being given to you, which really you're not really even ready for. Managers are always looking, good managers are always looking to promote people. And in order to do that, they need to see somebody who wants it who wants it more than they want it for them. Somebody who's ambitious, somebody who has initiative. So my question to you is, do you have initiative? Are you thinking outside of the box? Here's the thing that I will share with you. Are you predominantly taking more responsibility for the level of value that you have, or are you leaving that to your company? Are you waiting for the company to and the internship to promote you, to give you initiative, or are you going outside and learning and reading and asking for advice? Is that you, or are you the person who sits and waits? Think about it. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I don't know if that's been useful for you or not, or giving you any sort of things to think about, but I hope it has. Thank you very much for the question, guys. Guys, if you also have a question and you want to ask it, ask away, and I'll try my very best to give you my thoughts on it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you want to support me and help me get to 1,000 subscribers by June. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.